Hey everyone, how's it going? That beeping you hear, hold on, let me turn the radio down first and mute that. That's my radar detector going off. And it just made me want to spin my phone around on the mount and turn the camera on and record a video here. Do you guys, where you live, do you have photo radar? Because that wasn't a radar trap setting it off. It's one of those little signs that tells you your speed. I find a lot of times though they do set those up where there's radar ahead, just so they can say it. So when people say, "Oh, I didn't know I was speeding," they can basically say, "Bullshit. You had a sign showing you exactly how fast you're going." But I digress. Just wondering if you guys, where you live, if you have photo radar, and what your opinion on it. We do have it here in Edmonton. A lot of the surrounding communities have banned it. They've gotten rid of it because it doesn't deter people from speeding. It's just basically a tax. It's a cash grab. You know, it doesn't deter. When you get a photo radar ticket in the mail 2 weeks later, it doesn't do anything to stop you from speeding. I suppose if you get, thousands of dollars worth of tickets, it'll make you think twice about it. That's for sure. But other than that, it's just a tax grab, and at least here, it just goes into general revenue, not into traffic safety improvement or even road improvement or anything. It just goes into the general fund where the city councillors use it as their pet project money. I'm not opposed to radar. There's too many people that drive way too fast with not enough skill. Even with the skill, drive too fast for the road conditions. I see it when I drive up north quite a bit from the city, going up towards Fort McMurray here, and where the oil sands are and a lot of oil field work and stuff. And there's some really deadly roads going up there. And part of the reason is these guys will work, like 12-hour shifts or longer, and want to get home for the weekend, and they'll fly down these highways, one lane each direction, undivided roads. And even in summertime, it's bad because it's just terrible. These guys, I've been doing like 130 kilometers an hour, which is, I don't know, what do we say, about 80 miles an hour down the highway, and been people flying by me like I'm standing still. So I'd have to guess that they're doing at least, 160 kilometers an hour, which is over 100 miles an hour. And the road's just not safe for that speed. It's a terrible road. It's got potholes. There's animals on the road crossing. There's deer hit all the time, moose. It's just not a good place to speed. But yet they do. And worse off, I've gone down there in winter. I went down to Fort McMurray once in wintertime in a blizzard at night in the dark. It was so cold out and so windy, freezing, and the snow was literally hitting my windshield and freezing there. I was using minus 40 degrees Celsius windshield washer fluid that was freezing as soon as I sprayed it on the windshield. And there I was going down the highway, couldn't see 20 feet in front of you. Like literally, if there was a car in front of me, I could not see his taillights. It was that bad of a blizzard. And so I was going, I'd have to say around 80, 90 kilometers an hour, which is about as fast as I could possibly go. And I'm in an all-wheel drive SUV and good winter tires and everything. And I'm being passed by these guys in these trucks, just flying by me, like I'm standing still. And they, and as I'm driving along, I swear in about probably a 4-hour drive, I must have saw 30 cars in the ditch on their sides, just stuck in the roof, or either on their sides, upside down, crashed into a tree, just from driving like morons. So radar does have its place, and traditional radar, where they pull you over, give you a ticket, and it puts demerits on your license, which affects your insurance cost, and you get too many demerits and you lose your license for a period of time. I think that's fair. I don't like it. I really don't, because I don't like tickets any more than the next guy. I don't like having to pay fines. I got better things to spend my money on, but the fines are relatively reasonable. I think the last speeding ticket I got was for going 70 in a 60 zone, and it was like $100. So, it's not going to break me, and I think it gave me one demerit, whatever it was. It didn't, my insurance company let it go, and I didn't raise my insurance rates. But some of them are crazy. But it gets me back to photo radar, and it's just insane. Like I said, a lot of towns and municipalities around us, cities, have just outright gotten rid of it. If they had it, the people were so opposed to it that they got rid of it. But our city council here in Edmonton, good old Mayor Don Iveson, the shithead, he's with it because he likes to spend his money like nobody's business. His money, I should say our money. Some of the projects that he spent millions and millions of dollars, even though almost everyone in the city is opposed to it, are putting bike lanes all over the place. Taking away on a 4-lane road with 2 lanes in each direction. He'll take away 1 lane in each direction and put bike lanes in. We have like 7 months of winter here where nobody's riding a bike. So you know, you got 5, maybe 4 months really of riding weather, and there's just not that many people riding. It doesn't. I've been sitting in traffic, stuck, and like there's a line of 100 cars and 1 bicycle will go by in that hour. So is it really right that they have their own dedicated lane? The serious bicyclists that I know, the ones that ride and actually commute back and forth to work, and we have some at work, they hate the bike lanes because they're dangerous, because cars will turn in front of them, cut through them at every intersection, and without realizing that the bikes have the right of way. So it creates a false sense of security for the bicyclists, and it's dangerous, frankly. So yeah, that's and all sorts of stupid things our mayor has. Is, you know, he's lowered all the I don't know if where you are have school zones also where the speed limit drops down from say 50 or 60 here to 30 kilometers an hour, which I don't really have a big problem with in a school zone during school hours. But Mayor Iveson, the shithead, saw fit to put school zones anywhere there's a playground or park. Even if this park is in an industrial area where children have never been, never will be, it's still a school zone, or they call them playground zones to get around that. They're not school zones. So they call these playground zones, lower the speed limit to 30 kilometers an hour, and the times they go from is 7:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, 365 days a year. So not even school days, not even school hours, not even when it's light out. It gets dark out at 4 o'clock in winter time. It's minus 30 out. There sure as hell ain't no kids playing in a park. But that's when they like to set up the photo radar, because that's when they can get you, because that's what they do. People will speed. They're thinking, well, there's no children here. I'm all right to speed. No, you're not, because that's when they prefer to set up their radar. So again, it's not in the name of safety whatsoever. It's just in the name of generating revenue. Now, I've done a few things to combat that. To be, like I said, I don't speed a lot, but they'll get you for as much as, I think that the lowest ticket I've gotten was 5 kilometers over the speed limit, which for you guys in the United States, that's like 4 miles an hour, or 3 miles an hour actually. So if you go 3 miles an hour over the speed limit, they can get you, and they have got me. And so anyway, what I do is I have a radar detector. It works great. It picks up photo radar all the time because their radar is always on, so I can pick it up like far away. I also have my radars forward and rear facing, and it picks up all the bands. It'll pick up laser. People say you can't. No, radar detector won't pick up laser. Bullshit. If he clicks it on the guy in front of me, I pick it up. It's not a tiny white beam by the time it gets, 200 meters down the road. I pick it up. Say what you will, but I pick it up, and I've saved my ass a few times. Not always, because they flick it on for a millisecond, but if you catch it, it works. I also have an app on my phone that's user generated, like Wikipedia type deal, that if you see a photo radar or a radar zone, you can just quickly enter into the phone. It comes up and warns you, and your GPS in your phone will warn you where there's been reported radar zones. So that works good. Some people have used it to start reporting impaired or traffic checkpoints for drinking and driving. I'm opposed to that. I hope everybody gets caught drinking and driving. Zero tolerance for drinking and driving in my book, so people shouldn't be warning people about check stops. But that's something else. So I've got the radar detector. I have an app on my phone that I use. I've also got a license plate that from angles above, beside, and below blurs out my license plate. You can't see it. technically they're illegal and it's an $80 fine here. I've had mine on both my vehicles, the truck, this one that I'm driving now, this is the F-150, and my daily for work, my Hyundai SUV, Santa Fe, and it works. I've never been pulled over either, and I spoke to a cop about it. I used to go out with a cop, and I spoke to her about it, and her basic thing was that unless you're an asshole, they don't bother you. And the police have better things to do than worry about you having a license plate blur thing, you know, that's only affected by photo radar. If you're right behind me, like a police officer in a car, he can still see my license plate perfectly fine. Doesn't blur it whatsoever. I'm at 7-Eleven here getting a Slurpee, so I'm just headed home. So yeah, generally they don't have a problem with those. But you can get an $80 fine for having one. To me, it's worth the risk. It's like people having tinted side windows. We're not allowed to have any tint on the side windows. My back window's tinted, that's fine. Side window, not allowed at all. 0%, nothing. It's automatic fine. And some cops will let you go, and some will use it as a reason to pull you over. Some are just dicks and like to, I don't know. I have nothing against cops in general, but some of them are just dicks, and those are the ones I don't like, and I'm not afraid to say I don't like them. But yeah, so the same goes with the plate. So I have numerous ways to combat radar, and it's worked pretty well for me, considering I spend probably about anywhere from 5 to 9 hours a day on the road, and that's in the city, on the highway, in the country. And I see radar probably, I'm going to say at least 5 times a day in the summer. They seem to do it less in winter. The cops don't want to have to get out in the cold. Can't say I blame them. One of the cops I used to know used to have this thing. He used to be a bartender, and he'd come in the bar. This was a long time ago, and this is probably about 30 years ago. So he'd come in the bar and he'd have a drink. You know, he'd bring in his plastic coffee mug and pass it to me and say, you know, can you give me a bourbon? And he used to like bourbon. What did he like? I think it was Beam Black and ginger ale. So I'd put some of that, and he'd stand there and talk to me for a while, hang out, you know. And it'd be when it was really cold out, he used to say stuff like, if I got to pull somebody over in this friggin' weather, they're going to get ticketed for everything I can see because I don't want to get out of my car. Just an interesting little anecdote. Anyway, so let me know what you guys think about radar, photo radar. What do you do to combat it? Anybody out there got radar scramblers? How do they work? I'd be interested in that. I think they're pretty expensive, but I don't know. Let me know. Then there's the camp that's going to say, well, if you don't speed, you won't get a ticket. True enough, but I don't know. I speed. It is what it is. I don't speed very often. I don't speed where I shouldn't. There's a lot of areas, at least where I live, where the speed limits are artificially low, and especially in transition zones, when you're coming into the city, when you go from 110 kilometers an hour, and then it drops down to 90, then to 80, then to 70, then to 50, then back up to 80 again, with maybe one sign in there, so if you blink, you miss it. And they really like to set up radar in those zones, in the transition zones. The city has changed that they don't do that anymore, but the kicker is all these zones are on the outskirts of the town, so it's provincial. So the RCMP will sit there and set up traps. The city won't do it, but the RCMP will. Like I said, I don't really have a problem with cops. The RCMP I do. They're kind of useless dicks. But hey, that's another story altogether. We won't get into that. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on, and I need to get my Slurpee. I gotta get home. I picked up a few things, some new floor mats for the truck, wiper blades, I don't know, some stuff, some motor oil. I gotta change the oil in it, do a few things. I did grab a dash cam. You can't see it. I have one in all my vehicles, but I put one in here too because I don't like moving them around. So anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think about radar, what you do to combat it, and I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.